Alrighty, guys, we are back. Quick little shutdown and quick restart. Fake this out again. John Mora taking on Waleed Hasham. We are just witnessed the leg, and of course, my name's Grant. I'm sitting beside Jimmy Weich. Ready for the match?
I'm ready for the match.
We've been ready for about 6 minutes. So we apologize for the false start. I guess we could have waited another minute and just kept on rolling. Nonetheless, we are underway. Mora winning the leg, giving himself break number 1 to lead us off.
Yeah, an all Ontario battle here. Will lead one of the good young players coming out of Toronto, and Johnny very well known globally.
Yeah, he certainly made a name for himself all over the world. And rightfully so, well deserved. Never a panic, really, for John. I was watching his match prior to this, and he was trailing by a couple of racks, kind of the midpoint. Nice break. Everything's wide open spaces. 5 to the 6 ball. Going to be a challenging shot, but if he can manage that, I see nothing standing in his way.
Yeah, and surviving that scare against Randy Baggett in the last, I think that you really expect John to catch another gear now.
I agree. I believe that his last match went hill, and like you said, I think that'll light the fire under John. So an important shot here on the 4. He wants to position himself well on the 5 to get him onto the 6. And that should be the rack winning shot. Might be a touch steep, but I think he can manage this. A little bit of left-hand spin off that left side rail. Float down just before that's just below that right side pocket.
Yeah, it's all about speed, that, isn't it?
Yeah, he managed that really well, as John Mora has full capacity of doing.
These players, they see the angles and they leave themselves on their lines. And really what that does is it just gives them a lot of room for error.
Yeah, and I like it. Just super simple on his game and on his patterns. Leaves everything fairly simple, which is what makes him such a high-level player. If you can make everything this easy, then you can string together a few racks. Eight and 9 to finish.
Yeah, what a start. Break and run out and never looked in trouble.
Yeah, right from the snap.
So the race to 9 in the quarterfinals. Mora off the mark. And an ominous start if you're a Waleed Hasham fan.
Well, I think John Mora, depending on how the break goes, has full capacity. He could, and I don't want to say it because it hasn't happened yet in this tournament, but he certainly has the skill. He could run the set. as we saw in Lucius Yap and was it Ko Pin Chung? In that matchroom event, Lucius never left his chair.
Well, maybe you saw.
Yes, he ran every single rack, race to 11, never missed a ball. John to lead off rack number 2.
Yeah.
Look out, cue ball. 3-ball saves the day.
Yeah, one deposited in the same pocket, so he's kind of got the measure of the break as far as getting the one. Little bit of work to do with regards to this 2. Can't quite see it, so it may just execute the push out here.
Does he see just that outside edge? Can he see the paint on that? I guess we'll see how he lines this up.
He's going to be mindful of where the 9 is in relationship to the 2 ball as well.
Yeah, you don't want to just feather that onto the 9 ball. It's one of the things I watch for when I play is when I'm shooting the lowest ball, keep it away from the 9 ball, and I get punished every time I don't do it. The push. To the top rail. I'm not sure that he got that quite frozen to it, but oh, he did. Have a look at that. That is some distance between the cue ball, 2 ball.
Yeah, Waleed has to have a look at the possible billiard here. If he can see enough of the right-hand side of that 2 as he looks. Almost as though he wants to play the cue ball into the corner pocket. He'd be bumping that 9 right down towards it. If he could play this with any degree of safety in mind. Again, difficult to tell how much of that side of the 2 he can see.
I do believe that was his intention, hunting the 9 ball there.
Yeah, certainly the speed that he played it, I'd have to agree, Grant. But he's gotten away with the safety too. Mora might just have to jump at this. I don't think he can get through to the edge of the 2.
Well, and if he does pull out that jump cue, obviously with the skills of Mr. Mora, you favor the hit for sure. High probability of the make. Such as?
Very high probability. What a shot.
How about 100% probable on that one? Yeah, nothing to do on the 3. The hit and stick. 4 is quite natural. Might want a little bit of inside angle on the 4. I believe the 5 passes the 6 ball. 5 and 6 into the same pocket. Game-winning shot potential. Smooth. Very, very smooth. Living up to his name. Yeah, some nice outside angle on the 5. We'll see how close that 5 ball is. That does look really tight, Jim. Still had some room.
Yeah, I doubt when Waleed looked at the shot that he played where John had to jump to get to the 2, I doubt Waleed thought he was going to get out from there.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing to do here. Nothing standing in the way. And that, for the defending champion, is obviously good news. Starting off the match with a 2-game pad. A good sign if you're a fan of the Mora camp. And to be fair, really, Waleed hasn't had much of an offensive anything in the first couple of racks.
Yeah, he's had a chance. Took a flyer at the 9. That's the only time he's been at the table. Been domination from John Mora. Came into the event without a doubt as the tournament favorite, given his pedigree in this game.
Well, I believe he is defending champion.
Well, it's one thing to come as the favorite. It's another to leave as the champ.
That is true. Living up to that sometimes can add just that little bit of extra pressure to every match that you play that really nobody else in the tournament has.
Yeah,
But
a lot of them are all sticking around. Eric and Jason and Johnny, they're all sticking around till Wednesday. They're going up to Banff, I think either tomorrow or Tuesday. And,
Beautiful spot.
He says to me, "What do you? Can you give me any advice?" I said, "Yeah, don't feed the bears."
Yeah, definitely don't feed. In fact, if you see the bears, just keep a very safe distance. Yeah, beautiful spot.
Oh, missed the one that time.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There are 8 balls on the table, so he did get one off the break. Or am I miscounting?
Nope. You are on the button.
But no clear path to the 1.
It'll be interesting to see if he tries to go rail first to make the 1 or whether he comes up with a push, potential safety. Difficult with the 4 and the 8 being in the vicinity of the 1 as to how they are. Makes the kick safe a little bit more tricky to accomplish. Maybe he goes off the side rail, kicks the 1 into the backside underneath the 4 ball, and leave the cue ball behind the 8 ball. Send the 1 couple of rails around. Couple of options. For the make. Didn't want to be hampered by the 8, but I think he'll take it.
2 and 4 right there. 5, 6. This is, again, an ominous start if you're a Waleed Hasham fan. Mora, it looks to me, Grant, like he's just unwilling to give up the table at all.
And I said this yesterday as well. I'm such a big fan of the aggressive side of the game. right? But I believe on that shot, playing the kick safe was just as difficult as trying to play the shot to make. And perhaps it was that Hill game that he was in the match prior, where he says, you know what? I'm going to go kick the front door down on this match. I'm going to give no chances.
Well, just a little short of what would have been perfect, but this won't pose any problems.
Yeah, it might, with a little bit of right-hand side. Little check siding on this shot. Some nice angle here on the 7. Off that side rail, back out for the 8 ball. This will work. His choice. He can kind of pinch draw this up by that top side pocket as we look at it, or come back across. To take a 3-0 lead with the deposit of this 9 ball.
Yeah, and the second break and run out for Mora in the match.
He's walking like a man on a mission. Well, let's give a couple of shout outs to some sponsors of the event. They are equally as important. Performance Auto Calgary Inc. They are the #1 sponsor of the event. Make sure you search them out on their social media. Express some appreciation. Hopefully they'll be back next year as well. And of course, Alex Pagulayan and his chalk. Another great sponsor of the Canadian Men's 9-Ball Championships. And again, John to lead off, rack number 4. Deposits the 1. And looking like a clean shot on 2. Have a look at the tail of the tape from the overhead.
Yeah, if you can just feather this in and hold for position to the 3. The beat may go on.
Yeah, there's, again, rinse and repeat from the first 3 that we've seen. Nice little rub on that 9 ball. Slow the cue ball down a little bit. And really, he's away to the races here too, Jim. Nothing holding him back.
No, and anything close to straight on 4 will be a stop shot for the 5, 6 right there. Let's just connect the dots.
Running away a little bit with this match. No fault of Waleed. He's had one shot, and it wasn't really a high quality shot. Maybe came a little bit high on this, but I don't foresee this being any issue. Some left-hand spin on this. Couple rails out. 6 depositing to the top left-hand corner. Couple rails out for the 7 ball. Oh, he dug down. A little fortunate there, I think. Unintentional wave. John's looking really dialed in.
Yeah, he sure is. And again, the scare he had in the last round.
A little more determination, a little more focus, it seems, in this one. Well, it's been an all John Mora show so far. Almost a halfway point.
Yeah, the race to 9. And as you said, Waleed really has had much of a say in what's going on here. That's where you have to be so mentally tough.
Oh, yeah. It gets so tough to sit there and really you've had no say in anything going on.
No, you take the pounding and just wait and try and stay as positive, live in the moment.
Well, and then when that opportunity does present itself to be able to go in somewhat cold after sitting 4 racks in a row.
Yeah, I think from a psychological standpoint, you got to be so tough to play any of these rotation games because, you can take a beating and, start letting yourself get down, and you come to the table, you got to stay positive, and you can only affect proceedings when you're the guy at the table.
Well, and I think mentally speaking, one of the tricks to doing that is, at least from my perspective, from my opinion, you've had no say in it, so really at the end of the day, you got to give credit where credit is due. And just acknowledge, John's come out screaming, so when you get the opportunity, take advantage. And he did make a ball there. Does that one pass? It doesn't appear from the overhead that the one ball will pass.
Yeah, I don't know if the 1-4 billiard may be available.
Yes.
It'll be a very thin hit on the one.
Mm-hmm.
So John will have a good look at it, but if that one doesn't go, I think you'll see him attack the 4 here.
Yeah, and then you really have to control that one ball as well, being the next shot available. Went at that a little harder than what I thought he would.
He's human.
Yeah, he misses. He's human. Well, a little bit of a tester for Waleed, coming in after 2.5 games, not having a shot. Definitely some distance between this cue ball, 1 ball. But really not a lot to do. Make the one ball. It should be fairly auto shape for the two. Did well by it. Didn't want the cue ball quite on the rail where it is, but he'll take it. 2 to the 3, however.
Yeah, and tough to tell how much angle he's got on this too, if any.
Yeah. If he's got some, he could go forward 2 if it happens to be that right angle. Forward 2 off the end rail, side rail. Potentially put the 3 into that bottom side pocket as we're looking at it.
That's what he was trying, Grant. Tough to hit it hard enough to get ideal. I mean, it's still on.
Well, and I'm wondering if the new cloth, the slide, has a lot to say in how that didn't quite grab as much spin as what he would have liked to see. But does have an option. He can hide. Duck and hide the cue ball potentially behind the 8 ball. Almost a two-way. Almost got the reward. However, 3 is available.
Yeah, I could almost see Johnny trying to take this on to the bottom right corner.
Yep. Trying to get back up for the 4. That is the challenge here. The shot on the 3 challenging enough as it is. Never mind getting back up top for the 4 ball.
And you know what? If you're going to play this shot, you make sure you overcut it before hitting it too thick too, because then it always comes with a degree of safety in mind.
Wow. How good does he hit it, Jim?
Yeah, what a shot.
As you called it.
Well, it came with position to the 4, and that's why it was worth having a go at it. I mean, it was far from easy. But he certainly looks like he wants to send a message to who's left in the field now.
You're right. Yeah, this isn't just a message for Waleed. It is everybody in the room. Take note. Another inch or two on that would have done him justice, but nonetheless, I don't see that being any potential issue.
Yeah, I was going to say, playing left-handed, he'd be stretching right over the 9. So we all know that he started his career out as a right-hander. Just the bad shoulder forced him to start playing left-handed.
It's amazing. Just an amazing story. I was actually on the phone with John the night that he was deciding whether to give it up or switch it over, and the last I talked to John that night, he was going to give it up and go do I believe it was DJing that he was looking at.
Absolutely right. And you know what's funny, Grant, is there's probably a lot of pool players in Canada wish he'd have gone the DJ route.
Yeah, if you happen to be on the receiving end.
5-0. And again, he has done precious little wrong. He's been in control of this match from the outset. And if Waleed is going to try and wrest that control away, he's going to have to come with something pretty special. And he's a capable player, Waleed.
Yeah, and I think if he does get the opportunity, I can tell with his game, he's got that aggressive style game as well. And I think if you're going to try to make the comeback trail, you might have to flip the script a little bit and maybe put John in the mud. Try to slow down his roll a little bit. He just seems straight dialed in.
Yeah, I'm looking around, Grant, a lot of 3 other matches in play. Sadly, I don't have good enough eyesight to be able to see any of these scores.
Stevens' match is deadlocked to a piece.
At Stephen Holm, Brady Gollin.
Yep. Can't quite tell. Looks like Jason Kishayanu over in the corner. And I can't see their score. So if I could get connected with this and see if those score bugs that we had for the first day, we wouldn't have to try to strain the eyeballs to go across the room.
Well, John a bit short of pace there. So he's got a very thin cut on the 3 if he decides to attack. Option B to try and duck in behind the 6, bump the 3 up table. He's having a look at cutting it in. And again, the aggressive options, when you're at this level in the pool world, and you get a chance to park your opponent in his chair, that is the goal.
Well, and it certainly pays its own dividends by doing so. And as they say, fortune favors the brave.
No, he hasn't left himself anything easy here. This is a real tough shot on this 4.
A tester for certain. The first blip from Mr. Mora. And a chance for Waleed to come in and make a statement. And a fairly decent chance, in my assumption. Jim, what do you think with this shot?
Well, it's one of the few real opportunities he's had. And again, the only thing for me, Grant, his table time has been at such a premium that he just hasn't got into the comfort zone out there yet.
Well, and I think these are the times where you're presented the opportunity. Certainly, not the easiest shot in 9-ball pool, but these are the ones you definitely want to take advantage of. Good stand up.
And there's a direct result of just no table time, and Waleed just, totally out of sorts.
Yeah, he missed that by a fair margin. That headed right off the horn of the side pocket. But as you mentioned, I completely agree. That's just from sitting in the chair, not having enough grease in the elbow.
Problem ball here for Johnny. Looking at this long four, has just got to dodge that 8 in the middle.
It is playing defense, and that is always in the mind.
And playing at that speed, you've got to be very accurate. And the speed that he had to play that to take that 8 out of the equation, that's cost him the pot.
Well, it could very well cost him the game with the layout as it sits now. Nicely done. A little bit of up and down and back and forth and so on up and down the table. But Waleed more than capable.
Yeah, get that first one under your belt and
yeah, get the arm warmed back up again and the tables start to turn, and that is the ebb and flow of pool. The momentum changes. You've got to be able to mentally handle those too.
just stay still on this 9, Waleed, and get that first one on the score sheet and see if you can build on it. Get back into this match.
Yeah, a few requirements to make that happen. The break, obviously, the first factor in determining that. Making a ball on the break and getting position on the next lowest ball on the table. And for the uninitiated who have never watched 9-ball before, if you are watching, the object of the game is to make balls in numerical order. Always playing for the lowest ball on the table. So we'll see what happens here with the break of Waleed Hasham. Started off the event, 64 players. Started Friday evening, 7 o'clock. We are now whittled down to the top 8. Single elimination from the top 16 on downwards until we've determined a winner.
Yeah, quality field. We've said it every broadcast that, really very few players not here. You'd like to have seen a couple from Quebec, maybe Danny Hewitt, Martin Daig.
Jason Robichaud.
Yeah, Jason's from out east.
Yeah.
And but there's Alex, obviously the most notable omission, Alex Pegalion.
Mm-hmm.
Like the road to the title always tends to go through his backyard. And when he's not here, they look at players like Johnny Mora, Stephen Holm, and the Eric Horlifson, Stephen Klatz of the world, or Jason Klatz, pardon me, of the world. And they're the class of the field here in Calgary. But events like this, they're made for upsets.
I love it.
9-ball. Funny little roll here, funny little roll there. You may see a new champion crowned this year.
It has the makings of it. However, John here to defend that title. Put his stamp on who that winner is going to be. And it's been all John this match so far. pushing to the top rail. Or not. Waleed might get this back from John. Can't quite tell whether he's left the edge of the 2. If not,
kind of a crafty shot, that one from Waleed, because he's right-handed. You know Johnny's playing left-handed, and so if he leaves a jump shot, a right-hander, this be able to cue at this a little more comfortably. That's easy for me to say. First day with the new lips.
Right? Hey, don't worry. I had that going on.
He can cue at it in a more comfortable manner.
Yes.
And he's got it back, so we're going to find out. Easier to elevate with that white near that rail.
Yeah, it is a crafty shot. I thought originally he was playing it off the rail to send it up to the top.
And I don't think he's left anything.
He might not like the next shot, though. John does have the...
Well, John's having a look. I don't know the 2 goes. If the 2 doesn't, I wonder if there's a possible 2-8 billiard. That doesn't look on either.
No, I would tend to think he's going to play that 2 into the 8 and send the cue ball back down around underneath the traffic.
Well, right now he's looking at hitting it from the back rail, rail first.
The kick and stick.
And I mean, if he catches the right edge of that 2, he might even float the cue ball in behind the 8. What a beautiful result that would be.
That would be an ideal plan for John Mora. Wow. Like you called it. Not quite underneath the 8, but certainly a factor in it. This is actually a difficult shot here for Waleed. Difficult hit.
Yeah, and he knows he's bumping the 2 over towards the bottom right corner.
Mm-hmm. Is he blocked enough by this 8 that he can't even come in this way? This path is blocked. This is a difficult hit. Wow.
Well, as I said, he knew he was bumping it near the corner. That was always going to be the danger. And his body language says it all. He's left this.
Yeah, this is wide open, I believe. Yeah, good call there, Jim. I didn't think he had that path.
Yeah, just looking over at one of the tables, Stephen Holm looks like he's dictating the pace over on one of the outside tables, too. I think it's 5-1 now, Stephen Holm over Brady Gollin.
Yeah, Brady, after the match that he won against Stan, he was saying, I'm just having a hard time seeing the aiming points on the ball. So yeah, I wonder if that carried into this next match.
Well, and Stephen's a little different prospect than 70-year-old Stan Taranjo.
True.
And nothing against Stan.
No.
But Stephen's a champion.
Wow. I'm really surprised that he played that as stiff as what he did into that side pocket. Great shot. Those side pockets from those angles are, they're very, very tiny.
Just wants this off that cushion. He's got a little angle on the 7, get a little closer to the 8. And Waleed is going to be staring 6-1, smack in the face.
He's definitely got his work cut out for him if he wants to make a comeback or the start of a comeback in this match. But really, I mean, you know, with the scoreline being what it is, really doesn't tell the tale of the tape. I think he's had one decent offensive opportunity, which he ended up winning that game on, and really hasn't had much.
No, very true. Johnny has stamped his authority on this match right from the get-go, and he's been unwilling to release control.
Which I guess in the playbook of John Mora is exactly what the intention and the results he's looking to gain. Mr. Mora to lead us off, rack number 8. It's been fairly consistent with the break thus far. I think he's had one mishap or one miss on the one ball. Well, bottle this up, Jim. 2-6 combination from a little bit of distance, and looking potentially a 3-9, depending on how things play out. Could also play the cue ball back off the 2 ball to pretty much where he's at right now. A little bit of a tester to start, though.
Yeah, he's eyeing up the combination, Grant. So it's gear down. Gear down and hit the gas pedal.
I love to see it.
And now he can come down. The 3 is available to the bottom right.
Yep. Doesn't have to play that combo, which is good.
And he's got a nice angle on this 2 to bring that cue ball down the left-hand side of the table as we look. Just his choice.
Might be a touch over pace.
Yeah, he was kind of standing up as the cue ball was tracking down the table, and he knew he'd just slightly overhit this, but it's not bad.
That is the universal please slow down cue ball.
Body language.
Body language, yeah. Back into position. Tic-tac-toe from there.
Yeah, the mark of a top player is you just don't see any basic mistakes. You know, when it looks like they should get out, they do.
Well, I think it was Russ Whittle, local player, very, very high caliber player here. He told me that as you get through those balls, it should get easier and easier and easier on your position.
Yeah, but as is the case in any Q sport discipline, doesn't matter what you're playing, you know, you eliminate the basic mistakes. You don't miss an easy shot, you're going to be tough to beat every time you go out.
Completely agree. And John Mora making very, very little mistakes.
And quick update on Brady Gollin match against Stephen Holm. He's 6-1 down. That's Brady. So if there was ever a time to take a smoke break, partner, take it now.
Yeah, go check the air quality outside, check the weather. Maybe splash a little water on the face. Hit the reset button on yourself. Rack number 9 from John. And in full control, Jim has a chance to get himself on the hill here and then close escrow.
Yeah, something down. Only 8 balls on the table, and yeah, very thin cut on the one to try and slice that into the corner. Again, just depending on how aggressive he feels. And I know the score at 7-1 could dictate him being a little bit more ambitious than he would normally.
A little bit of traffic to contend with. He's going to have to, if he does go and try to make this one ball that thin cut, he's got to be cognizant of where the 7-9 and the 8 ball are. Straight up and down the table would be ideal.
Made it look easy.
Yeah, didn't he? How to make a difficult shot look real easy. Position to the 3, though, a little bit tricky. Does it go by that 5 ball or potentially off the rail?
He's got plenty of angle on this, too. Can almost get that cue ball into any area of the table that he desires. Because I don't believe it goes by the 5, and I'm not sure the in-off is available. Again, the overhead camera, a little tough to tell, but John would
love, the other one does.
John would love to be able to get, well, you know what, there. Maybe there's a 3-5 combination on offer. It's closer to the pocket than it looked.
That wiggled its way in.
Yeah, and the 3-5 combination is the order of the day. He is looking to see if there's a pocket there, but boy, it sure doesn't look like it from that camera angle.
Oh, I could send it over. Oh, what?
The old shrinking ball shot.
Yeah, okay, Jim, you've done this for a lot more time and have a lot more experience than I do. You care to explain that one?
Well, I mean, he probably hit that as pure as he's ever hit a ball. Because he had half a pocket at best. And the speed that he played it tells me that he didn't think he was going to be able to make that ball clean, but he did.
Like not even a twitch out of that 5-ball.
Yeah, I'd love to be out there just behind that shot just to see how small that pocket was. What a
And
shot, though,
especially
from
at
Mora.
that speed. How do you get a ball through there? Something's not adding up to me. But he found the way. Well, it's been all John thus far, and I have to say I don't see that changing. Not at this point.
Yeah, this has been, to this stage in this match, this has been a master-class performance from John Mora. And you start to get an understanding of why he came into this event as a heavy favorite.
Yeah, putting that on display.
Yeah, the defending champion, again, making a statement.
And onto the hill. Right, but again, in true statement, right? The Waleed really hasn't had really much of anything.
He's had maybe one opportunity.
Yep.
Where he ran out the last 5 colors, I believe, were on the table, and then dry break to follow. So it just hasn't exactly materialized the way that Waleed would have and ideally wanted, but it's due more in part to the way John Mora has kicked this match off. He has shut Waleed out. And breaking for the last time in the match.
Yep. I didn't think about that. Well, there's good news and not good news. He's made a ball, no clear shot on the 2-ball. And close proximity to the top left-hand corner makes the push out even more difficult.
Yeah, one thing if you're Waleed, though, you get any chance. You know, you got nothing to lose now. Nobody expects you to be able to win 8 in a row and pull this one from out of the fire. So just fire away.
Yeah, free stroke it.
Yep, let that back arm go. And
you know, based on John's aggressive nature, I wouldn't be shocked to see him jump this ball.
yeah, and that's the way things go. When you're riding the wave,
Ride it to the end.
yeah, you get a nice roll. So unless Waleed wants to try and bank this into the corner he's queuing over, this is going to be defense, and he'll be trying to duck behind one of those colors.
Yeah, ideally right behind that 4-ball would do him some justice. It's going to require a lot of right-hand spin to get it to that point, though.
Yeah, he went for the bank, and what a shot.
Wow.
And like I said,
Good on
Grant,
him. Yeah.
when you've got nothing really to lose, let it go.
Well, and it opened up the entire table. He's on to the 3, 4 leads to 5, 5 to the 6 might be your game-winning shot. Everything after that point, well, maybe 6 to 7. No. And really, even 5 to 6 isn't terrible.
Yeah, what an opening shot. And I'd like to see him clear up here. He deserves that just from the 2 he just knocked in.
I agree.
All right, about there, cue ball. Just above the spot would be ideal on the 5.
Pretty close to where he was pointing at. This one a little bit thinner, I think, than had he hit where he had intended. Nonetheless, I don't really see this being an issue for Waleed.
Yeah, the match has been underway for just over an hour.
And in that time frame, John's got himself onto the hill. And really, it's been all John Mora thus far. Trying not to give him any type of commentator's curse or anything that could go wrong. He's fully deserving of this win. Yeah, I like what he did there. Just took what the table did offer him. Didn't try to do too much. Right, myself in that shot, I'd probably try to get a little bit closer and end up missing the 8 ball. Wiped its feet, but in it goes.
And now try and play yourself back into respectability. 8-2 with the break. And I can see Stephen Holm, Brady Gollin shaking hands, so that one over. Stephen Holm through to the semifinals.
Must have been a pretty good performance there from Stephen. Again, match time, well, I'm assuming they would have started at the same time or relatively close to.
Yeah, that had to be a 9-1 result. It was 6-1 the last score, and I didn't see much of Brady at the table, so.
And looks like these guys are going to take a break, so give a shout out to a couple more of our sponsors here for the Canadian Men's 9-Ball Championships. Nick's Cue Innovations for any of your cue repair requirements. He is local to Calgary, 403-667-3173. You do not have to be local to utilize his abilities. You can send him your cue. He'll do the necessary repairs, ship it on back to you. And of course, lack no billiards, responsible for the cloth here at the Leather Pocket on all tables, the 9-foots and the 7s. Based out of Lethbridge, Alberta, about an hour and 45 minutes southeast of Calgary. They are a diamond dealer, but they've done a pretty remarkable job here on all the tables, being Simonis 860 HR cloth. Been performing extremely well thus far. And while they're on a break, Jim, how are things up at the corner bank?
Well, talked to my partner the other day, and all systems go. I mean, there's always when you've got a club and a sizable club with a lot of staff, it's challenging.
Definitely.
It's never as easy as what people might like to think, but it can be very rewarding too.
Most certainly.
I know that my partner has certainly taught me an awful lot about the business in the decade and a half that we have been in operation in Toronto, and I've learned an awful lot from John. But it's an ongoing process, Grant. You never stop learning, and you're always adapting and changing. And I think, it's right now it's a very healthy industry to be in. Mm-hmm. I travel around and do a lot of commentary still, mostly remote now. But when you see it healthy as it is in Calgary like this, you're in the right business.
Absolutely. Well, and you've got a beautiful room, Jim. I mean, I've been there on a few different occasions, and it's a beautiful room. I believe the last time I was there, you just put in the outside patio.
Yeah, we've got a 3,000 square foot patio that, again, in the warmer months, historically, these clubs tend to slow down when the weather gets nice, and if you can find reasons to bring people in when the sun's shining, and that's a plus, and the patio certainly helps us. We do a lot of private and corporate parties too.
Yeah, I would imagine so, especially in the summertime when it's beautiful weather, and that is the time to use those outdoor patios, because trying to do that in the winter in Canada is not ideal. Mm-hmm.
But a shout out to all the boys back at Corner Bank. If you're tuning in and watching any of this, we hope you're enjoying it. I'll be back in town tomorrow afternoon, so if I owe anybody any money, remind me. So here we go. Waleed, he won the last one. 8-2 he trails, and again, he can throw caution to the wind. He's got nothing to lose here, and a good break and a chance at the 2.
Wow. That's been the best break we've had of the match, I believe, right? Nice little tester on the 2 to draw back for the 3 ball. 3, I believe, passes that 6. Maybe not. Maybe not. Hard to tell, even from an overhead.
Yeah, nice that you can give us that look in, too, because I don't think it does pass the 6. And originally, it looked like it flew by.
Yeah, from the end angle, it looks like it's got all kinds of room. Yeah, he's shaking his head at it, so. Yeah, I think he's looking at sending the 3 ball 2 rails out. If he can get there, play the safety.
Still plenty of room here. If anybody's in the northeast end of the city and you want to come down and see some of these top players in person, make your way down to the Leather Pocket. Just a little north of 32nd on Edmonton Trail, 32nd Avenue and Edmonton Trail. Wow, that's a good shot. Or it was a good effort from Waleed. Sorry, I thought the 2 went down, Grant. I took my eye off the ball, but at that speed, it's never going to be easy.
Yeah. Well, and it's why I said it's a little bit of a tester. Not that those shots normally with Waleed's skill that's going to really present any problems, but he's been sitting in the chair for most of the time, and that to me is the tester. The shot itself, I don't think is one that he's going to miss too often, but given the scenario, that being said, he's left it fairly similar for John. Oh my goodness. Wow.
There's your TSN shot of the match right there.
John Mora doing John Mora things.
No, that's crazy good.
What a shot. He does it just so nonchalant.
I mean, you can't possibly find enough superlatives to talk about that shot.
It just boggles the mind, really.
And he's totally overhit this one.
Yeah. Well, and I have a theory about this, is when you hit a shot like that, take a victory lap, right? Let the adrenaline kind of come back to a normal state, because you see it so many times where you make just such an amazing shot and then either overdo it, underdo it, you're out of shape on the very next shot. Missed that by a fair margin. First time we've seen that out of John this match. But it does present a really good opportunity here for Waleed. Claw back another one. Put one on his side of the scoreboard. Stave off elimination at this point. He doesn't like it. Cue ball close to the rail. Floats that to perfection. That was well done. Nice shot.
Oh, did he travel too far here?
It was flirtatious, that's for certain. See if the overhead shows us anything different.
Yeah, tough to tell. He may have just tracked a little too far with that cue ball.
Well, I think he's going for the short stick, or maybe a 3/4. So I think he's got just maybe an 1/8 of the 8-ball in the way, 3/4 or a quarter of that maybe. So it's definitely not the height, but the distance and the cut on that was the difficult factor.
Safety though.
Yep. Some distance here for John. And I would suspect that John's going to go for this. really nothing to do with the cue ball. Make the 6. That cue ball should float straight down the table, back up again for the 7 ball. And I am wrong. Really good cue ball, all the way back onto that back rail. It'll be to the short cue once again for Waleed.
Yeah, very good shot, that one from Mora.
He might get away with this one. 8 ball coming to the rescue.
Yeah, it pays to hit him.
Sure does.
And that 8 has definitely come to his defense.
Yeah, it's amazing. You just answer the bell, make the hit, and sometimes get the reward.
Yeah, looking at kicking off that left-hand side, and I mean looking for a full contact. Try and put some distance between the cue ball and the 6 ball, and ideally even find some cover.
Well, he definitely got full hit. Full hit so much so it sends it all the way around the world back down table. This is cuttable for Waleed. Very well done. That should earn him another tick on his side of the scoreboard.
Yeah, we saw the best shot, arguably, of the tournament, and didn't provide a win from Johnny Mora. So Waleed staying alive.
5 more like that, and we'll have ourselves a hill-hill battle.
Well, anyone that wrote Waleed off forgot to tell Waleed.
Sometimes ignorance is bliss.
Well, 8-3. I mean, it's a long road back, but it happens one ball, one rack at a time.
And fully capable is Waleed Hasham. Rack number 12. Ball down.
Well, I see Big Red Eric Horlifson too. He's got a coffee, his cue's in its case, so I wonder if he's done as well. And again, it's with the crowd in front of where we can see the tables. We can't really see what matches are in play and which ones are still ongoing. Well, I can see Eric Vargas's match is still in play, but
Well, there might be a cheat code.
yeah, Eric Horlifson through.
Whoops.
I just had a quick look at that, and through to the semifinals, and he's waiting for the winner of Jason Kishinew and Eric Vargas, and they're still playing. And Stephen Holm waiting for the winner of this match to make up the semifinals. So 2 of the 4 complete.
The unintentional double bank, but at this point, I think he'll take it. Two past the 6 to the bottom right as he eyes it up. Just doesn't look like it goes from this top-down view, but he's eyed it up. He did not have much of a pocket there. Well executed.
That pocket's fooled us a few
It
times,
sure
Grant.
has,
I'm wondering
yes.
if that might be a much bigger pocket than we let on.
Yeah, somebody forgot to tell us that they increased the size of that pocket. Well, he needs to get good on this 4, and then nothing holds him back from going 8-4. Not terrible, not ideal, but not terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty steep. I don't know whether he can hold for position to the 5. Again, difficult to tell from our camera perspective. Yeah, that looks a little easier. He might be able to kill the cue ballers. And again, I'm assuming, is that the 5 on the bottom cushion or is that the 7?
Right here.
That's the 5?
I believe so. Oh, that's the 7.
Well, then 4 to the 6, a lot easier.
That's a lot easier, yeah. Got to be cognizant of the 9, though. Well done. Well, I think one more positional shot here, and he should be adding one more onto his side of the scoreboard.
Yeah, get over as close to straight as he feels comfortable on the 7. Not bad.
Not terrible. That will do. That will work. He went a different path than what I thought he was going to. Back and forth. I would suspect.
And he's going to have to hit this with a bit of speed. And we've seen a number of balls missed into this corner pocket. And especially when they've been played at speed.
Mm-hmm. Well, and ideally, he'd like to get right back to where he's at.
Great shot.
Struck that really well.
Great shot.
Really well done.
And 8-4. Walid has definitely played himself back into respectability. Now, can he keep going with the momentum? You're going to have to stay with us to find out.
I was just going to say, stay tuned to see whether that will work. Jim, I know you've got to run. I appreciate all the time, the dedication, and the guest commentary that you've been able to provide for us. My hat's off to you. I appreciate you. Safe travels, my friend.
Thank you, Grant. I appreciate it. Enjoyed it very much. And, I mean, if I can get my business done, I'll try and get back here for the final.
That would be awesome. We'd love to have you.
Alrighty. You look after yourself. Enjoy.
I appreciate it, Jim. Thank you. You're welcome. I appreciate you, Jim. All right, let's see if Walid Hasham can claw his way. He's been doing it so far. One game at a time at this point. With the break, rack 13. And again, same scenario, good news, bad news. He's made a ball, but no open shot on the 2. We'll see where he wants to either push, could go attacking, could go with the jump cue. Not sure that that's going to be the way he handles this. But indeed he is up and over the 4 for the make on the 2. And just opened up everything, I believe. Door is open for Mr. Mora. 2 ball will go past the 3. Into that corner pocket. And a virtual road map. If he can make this 2. 3 leads to 4, to the 5, to the 7, 8, 9. Might have got a little bit more angle than what he was hoping for. But he could pinch this backwards. Draw back up on top of that side pocket. Let's see how far over he's got to be to go forward. Off the point. Wow. Well, one more positional shot here, 5 to 7. And I believe it will be curtains. touch short of pace there. But I don't see that having any kind of effect on John. Switch hit. And this 9-ball to win the match and earn himself a spot in the top 4 of your Canadian and men's 9-ball championships. In she goes, John Mora putting on an absolute show for us. 9-4 over Waleed Hasham. Hats off to Waleed as well. Really didn't get too many offensive chances in that match. That said, John Mora advancing final 4. We will also shut down, restart. We'll get the next match locked, loaded, ready to go for you. On behalf of myself, Jim White, and the rest of the Q Sports Live team, we appreciate you tuning in. Don't go far. We're back in a few.